Everybody. Oh, wow. We are just so excited. This program that we are doing for Beyond Weight Loss is just well overdue. It's one of our favorite subjects. So let's get right into it. I have put in the chat box, and I'll share throughout the sign in for your points today. The reason I put it a bunch of times, if you're ever wondering that, is because those who have joined us later, they can only see the chat box from the moment they join. So that's the reason it's in there a million times, but you only need to sign in just once. Well, this series is all about breaking stigma and uncovering the truth behind weight loss. So the weight loss culture has created so many false narratives, and we are here to shed light on the subject. And first, I want to introduce the instructors for Beyond Weight Loss. The first we have is Brooke. Brooke has been part of Healthy Lifestyles for about 2.5 years now. She was born and raised in Hawaii and moved to Utah to attend BYU, where she graduated with a degree in public health with the emphasis in health promotion. She has a 1.5-year-old named Chloe, and she absolutely loves being mama to her. We may even get a glimpse of Chloe if we are lucky. Their favorite activity is to go on walks in the mountains, on the beach, or at a park together. So welcome, Brooke. We will also have Jane Hansen on our Beyond Weight Loss series. She is out today. She's not feeling so great, but I'm still going to give her her introduction. So Jane has been a health educator with Healthy Lifestyles for 4 years. During her time with the county, she has created health programs, coached others in bettering their health, provided COVID-19 relief, hosted workshops, and has loved getting to know all of you county employees. She graduated from the University of Utah, where she studied health promotion and education. She is passionate about mindfulness and living in the present moment. You may recognize her voice when we see her next time from our Mindful Monday series on our YouTube channel. When she's not focusing on helping improve others' wellness, she loves improving her own. She enjoys spending time with her little family, watching her little boy grow, moving her body, cuddling her pup Mando, trying new foods, and spending time outdoors. And then your last instructor will be myself. I'm Sadie. I'm one of the wellness coordinators for Healthy Lifestyles. I received my bachelor's and master's in health promotion from Utah State University. I'm a certified health education specialist, and the subject of Beyond Weight Loss is my favorite. I'm very passionate about you, our participants, ditching this diet mentality and engaging in healthy behaviors because it makes you feel good. I have in this picture my husband and our new puppy Paula for your enjoyment. But let's talk about the objectives of this series. The first objective we have is exposing the fraud and deceit of the diet industry and its impact on our health. We want to help you feel empowered to engage in healthy behaviors regardless of weight loss. And we're going to introduce a new perspective to health and wellness that can be sustainable throughout your lifetime. As health educators, we're often asked how to lose weight, and this can be a very frustrating question for us to receive because we want people to be focusing on developing healthy habits for your overall well-being, not just getting that number on the scale down. And this could be controversial, but you don't necessarily need to lose weight to be healthy. But the idea is so ingrained in our culture, and that's what we're going to talk about. Here's the classes we have for Beyond Weight Loss. Each of them are worth 10 points, so if you do all of them, that would equal 70. The one after today, we're going to talk about media literacy and body dysmorphia. And then we will talk about weight loss myths, diet culture, why diets don't work. And then the last two will be, all right, well, you've told us everything about diets that don't work. What does actually work? So the last two will be on developing healthy habits to change for life. I have highlighted May 3rd and May 19th because we'll actually have Doctor of Nursing Elizabeth Hanna from St. Mark's Hospital to talk about those two subjects. Okay. So today's class is titled Numbers versus Health. And I want to begin with just one simple question for all of you. What is health? Put your answers in the chat box. What do you think the definition of health is? Angie says happiness.
I love that. We've got lots of good ones coming in. We have being strong and active, your body working at optimal levels, balanced living, staying out of sickness, feeling good in my body, a little life to live, being in tune and having it work well for yourself. Got lots of amazing answers here in the chat. Uh, when you feel balanced in all areas of your life, I think that's key. There's so many different aspects, and I think oftentimes we focus on one area and we let the others fall out of balance and we don't really focus on those. And so how can we find a balance with all those areas? I think that's great.
I like
Freedom from disease and ailment.
that these aren't the same.
Yes.
We have feeling your best mentally and physically, feeling good. All right. I think you guys have done a fabulous job with this. Now I want to ask you, what do you think health physically looks like? If you could draw a picture of health, what would it look like? Put your answers in the chat box.
Angie said it looks different for everyone. Lisa said someone that's fit. We've got Barbie in the chat.
Mhm.
Uh, being comfortable in your skin, being able to keep up with a 7-year-old boy. That's a good one. I'm sure that requires a lot of energy. Someone else has said toned, smiling face. We've got a muscle emoji.
Dee, that's cool. How did you're gonna have to tell me how you did that at the end.
I
A
know.
little emoji. All right, I've got a lot of people describing things like, I like how we have Jan put smiling face. I like that description. The other ones we have more internal, what it looks like. Tell me, what does it physically look like? I have a couple. We have someone put Barbie question mark. So maybe looking like Barbie. Lynn said it can be good or bad. Lynn, tell me more. What do you mean by that? If you have problems, it can be bad. Oh yeah, I see what you mean now. All right. I wanted to know what the general public sees when they search the word health because everything you described, right? We're talking about vitality, happiness, feeling good in our own skin, being able to move. But if you type health, getting healthy into Google, what do people see? And so this is actually what I found. I have a lot of before and after photos. I saw lots of people running. I don't know why you have to be a runner to be healthy. I saw a lot of the, Jared from Subway type photos where people are in a pair of jeans that wouldn't fit them. A lot of people squeezing parts of their bodies. What words pop into your head when looking at these images?
Angie said unattainable.
Hmm.
Jackie, I have a long way to go. We have an LOL. We have comparison. This is what's socially acceptable. We rarely see people smiling while jogging. That's all I need to know about that. Someone has said skinny is best, or that I have to
Hmm.
lose weight, and that those bodies are what are normal bodies. That Dee has said you're never good enough.
Yeah, I'm hearing not only certain words, but a lot of emotions that you may be feeling by looking at these. I know looking at even just sharing these with you, it just hits me at my heart and my core. What, who has that kind of time to, yeah, Doug, like who is just running on the beach all the time for that to be health when I don't live near a beach either. Even though you guys had some amazing messages, and I know that you must have had to fight a lot when it comes to taking everything that's been presented to you when it comes to health and coming up with the definitions of health that you put with mind, body, and soul, and positivity, and well-being, and balance, because this is the message that you are fed every single day. Kelly wrote financial ripoff. Yeah, exactly. I know, exactly. So, in order to find words that, or in order to find images that fit the definitions of health that I was thinking about, and just like you guys had mentioned before, these are some of the images that I saw. And these are actually, this is health. This is what should pop up when you type health into Google. These are the things that should pop up, right? We have people being together. We have different ages. I'm not sure why, but when you type in getting healthy into Google, it was always young people, right? I'm like, why? So when you hit a certain age, there's just no hope, right? That's not a message we want to be sending. What words pop into your head when looking at these images? Put those in the chat box.
Patty says, I'm surprised they don't show a doctor's office.
We have one in the corner right here,
Oh,
actually.
there we go.
Yeah.
We have this. These are more realistic. You feel comfortable and you feel a connection to these people as well. They're more relatable. And I mean, this is more of the general public. This is who we are. This is, they're happy. They're really living and being free and finding happiness in their day in and day out. I love that comment.
In order to find these images, I actually had to type in happiness, which I found extremely interesting. Here's some more, actually. There needs to be 2 pages worth of these. We have people of different colors, different abilities, different ages. We have over here some work-life balance, right? We have people getting active, but it looks fun and not unattainable. It's not just running, it's moving your body, it's celebration, it's travel, it's all of these things. And as health educators, people think we often teach the other ones. They think that we're teaching the ones where you have to be measuring your waist and that your weight is the epitome of your health. And that is just something that we want to completely debunk with Beyond Weight Loss series. You are all on top of it though with your definitions of health. I think they fit these images much better than the first ones that we saw.
Totally.
All right. Oh, we're not ready for LeBron James yet. Sorry about that. All right, so the messages around health just have become so complicated. There's just so many competing messages that pop into our heads, especially the messages on how we achieve health and how it's measured. So for a long time, the messages that we hear loud and clear is that health is measured by weight. And when people want to start their health journey, they sometimes think about, well, I need to lose weight first, right? That seems to be the thing that pops into our head. And working in the health industry, we see people who are extremely obsessed with weight when it comes to their health, right? When we do biometric screenings, we screen for so many different things, right? We do blood pressure, cholesterol, glucose, but people are like, hey, what was my weight? What was my BMI? Not everybody, but a lot of people are obsessed, and it's not their fault. We've been having these messages just thrown at us. So my next question to you that you can put the answer in the chat is, as a society, why do we put so much emphasis on weight? We have measurable media. It's what we're told. D says sell, sell, sell. Yeah, make that money, right? To be accepted by others, it's media, it's stigma, it's social. Even doctors do. Yeah. It's a quick way to judge others. Yeah, because it's what we're actually seeing, right? We can't necessarily know someone's data or, mental, physical, financial, spiritual health just by looking at them. Body shaming is a great way to sell things, Crystal. Yes, absolutely. Someone is creating this standard, right? Somebody is creating this. All right. Well, I'm going to share with you some reasons, and a lot of you actually put them in the chat, but let's go over them. It is highly profitable for people to want to lose weight. The diet industry has tripled its gross annual income over the past 20 years to over $60 billion. Even when we were in a recession in 2008, the diet industry still flourished. So people were losing their jobs, people were losing their homes, but we were still preoccupied with losing weight. It has been so ingrained into our minds that large people must lose weight to improve health, or that all large people are in poor health and all skinny people are in good health. That is so false. The diet industry also provides us those quick fixes, right? We're living in a busy world. We like quick fixes. We like to have things delivered to us or to do curbside pickup or whatever it may be. We're just living in a world where if someone promises that we can lose weight in 20 days or follow these steps and you'll lose weight, they make us believe if we follow their regimen exactly, that we'll see the results that we desire when it comes to the scale or our appearance. The diet industry also tells us that weight gain is the failure to commit to a diet, that if we gain weight or if we don't lose weight fast enough, that it's completely our fault and not their product. So, in other words, they're pretty much saying our plan works, and if it doesn't, there's something wrong with you and your willpower. So that's what we're being told constantly. Another reason I think there's so much emphasis on weight is that weighing ourselves, like mentioned in the chat box, it's super easy, right? We can do it at our homes. We can do it multiple times a day. We can't check our blood results or receive a physical or mental examination every single day. So we're here to tell you the diet industry is not the health industry, and the product they're trying to sell us, well, frankly, it sucks. The the American Psychology Association reports that the majority of people who go on a diet regain all the weight back, plus more. Diets don't lead to sustained weight loss or health benefits for the majority of people, and we're going to get into that in these next 7 sessions. But today we want to steer away from weight being our measure of health and spend time talking about health numbers that actually matter and why weight doesn't tell the full story of your health. So now we can get into our LeBron James slide. I found this very interesting. When I looked up the definition of weight, we had 2 of them. So weight as a noun is your body's relative mass or quantity of matter contained by it, right? Very scientific. And this was very ironic. Weight as a verb means to attach value or importance to, which isn't that exactly what we're doing? We're taking our body's relative mass or the quantity of matter contained by it, and we're putting importance or value to it. Found that extremely fascinating. So weight alone is unable to determine how healthy we are. While it's tempting to focus on that number on the scale, it's not the best indicator of your health because it fluctuates every week, every day, every hour based on water retention, salt intake, how well you slept. Again, it's just telling us your body's quantity of matter. So some people say, oh, okay, well, I don't weigh myself, but I check my BMI. And I'm sorry, I'm going to debunk BMI as well. So BMI is your body mass index. It was actually, it's determined by your weight divided by your height squared. It was created by a mathematician, not by a doctor, in the 19th century to provide a quick and easy way to measure the degree of obesity for a general population so that the government could allocate resources accordingly. So today is widely used in healthcare settings for individuals, despite the CDC stating it should be used as a screening tool for a population and should not be used for individuals' diagnosis. So even though we know that it's not the most accurate, we still use it for whatever reason, even though it's completely flawed. My favorite example is with LeBron James. So LeBron James is 6'9", 250 pounds. That puts him with the BMI scale overweight or borderline obese. While at 37 years old, he's still in the running to be the NBA's or to be in the NBA's MVP race. Probably not because he didn't make the playoffs now, but still extremely impressive. BMI, it doesn't account for age, it doesn't account for gender, ethnicity, which leads to serious miscalculations of your body fat. BMI also doesn't tell us muscle versus fatness in somebody. It's just telling us from height to weight, this is what their BMI is, but we don't know somebody's body mass or, sorry, muscle lean tissue count, right? We don't know their bone density. We don't know all of these things. We're just saying based on their weight and height, this is where they're at. And that's why it would put LeBron in that overweight or borderline obese category because it doesn't take into account how much muscle he has. I like to think of our bodies very similar to a car. So whether you like the shape and style, its external appearance gives you little information about how the actual engine is holding up. So the point I'm trying to make is that we should put our focus into health, not our appearance or our weight. It is very hard to create positivity around health when you're measuring it based on one simple factor or by the way that you actually look. However, I do think it's important to point out that being overweight or underweight can be a risk factor for chronic diseases like heart disease, diabetes, but it is not the risk factor or causation for disease. There are several risk factors for a chronic disease, and one does not outweigh the other. No pun intended on that. So be sure to chat with your doctor about your risk factors for chronic diseases. Some risk factors include tobacco use, overuse of alcohol, physical inactivity, poor nutrition, your age, gender, level of education, poverty, environment, and urbanization, just to name a few. And actually in Utah especially, your zip code holds the most information about how long you will live, not your weight. Okay, now that we have talked extensively on why weight isn't the greatest measurement of your health, you're like, okay, lady, we get it. Let's spend some time talking about what measurements actually matter when it comes to health. And the first one I have is blood pressure. So a normal blood pressure is vital to your health, obviously. Without any pressure, that would not allow us to live. If there wasn't any pressure, we want to have it at that just sweet spot because the force with blood pressure that has exerted to our bodies allows oxygen and nutrients to go to all of our arteries, tissues, and organs so that we can function properly. Having a blood pressure that's too high or too low can be dangerous and life-threatening. And a lot of people don't feel symptoms for this. This is why high blood pressure is known as the silent killer. When someone has high blood pressure, the force exerted against the arterial walls is much larger than it should be. So your heart is working extra hard to get your body the nutrients that it needs. And this puts a strain on your body. Just think of it back to when it's a car. If we have a part of our car that is working in overtime because another area isn't working, that is going to put strain on that car or our bodies, right? Okay. So you may monitor your blood pressure at home or just have it checked when you go into your physicals, and you may not necessarily know, right? The nurse turns to you and says, oh, it's 121 over 60. And you're like, great. What on earth does that mean? Well, I'll explain that to you. So right here, we have our systolic pressure. So systolic pressure indicates how much pressure your blood is exerting against the walls of your arteries when your heart is beating. And diastolic pressure is how much pressure in your blood is exerted in the walls when your heart is at rest, and that's why that number is lower. So normal blood pressure is less than 120 over less than 80. And you can see if your diastolic goes over 80, it puts you in this stage 1 hypertension area. That doesn't mean necessarily that you are diagnosed with stage 1 hypertension unless that is your average blood pressure all the time. Sometimes certain things increase our blood pressure, right? But if we have a number that is 130 over 89 constantly, then we may have stage 1 hypertension. Another important health indicator that measures the productivity of your body is our cholesterol levels. So it's important to have your cholesterol levels checked as part of your healthcare routine at least once per year. So like blood pressure, people with high cholesterol, they often don't experience any symptoms of raised cholesterol, but it is a major risk factor for heart disease. So cholesterol, it's a waxy substance that's found in our blood. There's two types of cholesterol. We have HDL, and the way I like to think of it is we like to have HDL cholesterol high, and LDL cholesterol, which we like to have that low. And you may have learned all about this at our biometric screenings or our alternate activities, so this is a great review. So what happens is your liver makes all the cholesterol you will need, but when we eat foods that are high in cholesterol, then it has our body create HDL cholesterol in order to clean that up. But sometimes the ratio gets mixed up. So I like to think of it as anything that we're eating that's high in cholesterol, it's filling our arteries with the waxy substance that we were talking about. But the HDL that's created by our bodies acts as a garbage man, and it goes through your arteries and it cleans it up and takes everything to the liver. So you're probably thinking, well, then I want more garbage men working in my arteries, right, than garbage. So ways that you could increase your HDL cholesterol is by getting at least 30 minutes of activity most days of the week. You could also add healthy fats to your meals, like eating fish, nuts, avocados, olive oil, and then consuming alcohol in moderation and quitting smoking can actually help your cholesterol levels as well. Okay, we're going to have Brooke now talk about sleep.
Awesome. Thanks, Sadie. So, getting a good night's sleep is just as important for your health as moving your body and eating nutritious foods are. Um, so in the chat, how many hours, if you guys feel like sharing, how many hours of sleep do you get each night? What's kind of the average that you get?
Those came in
Got a lot of,
fast.
yeah. 5, 6, 7, around there. Ooh, we got some 8, 6.5. Awesome. Great. So the average adult actually needs 7 to 9 hours of sleep each night for proper cognitive and behavioral functioning. An insufficient amount of sleep can lead to serious repercussions, such as a higher risk for type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, poor mental health, and early death. Studies have found that individuals can build a tolerance to sleep deprivation, and their brains and bodies struggle, but the struggle starts to feel normal to them. How many of you guys have been kind of in that situation, in that boat? You feel tired all the time, but you're like, well, this is just kind of how it is. That's normal for me. It's just how I always feel. And it's not necessarily the case. Going back to Sadie's car analogy that she's been using, you can only go so many miles in your car before you gotta pull it over and you gotta oil it up, you gotta lube it up, and before you can go another 1,000 miles or so. It's the same thing with your body. You can't just keep pushing and going on on such a small amount of sleep. You need to recharge your body and give it the proper care that it needs in order to function properly. Um, there are countless benefits to sleep that you may know and experience every day, but I want to point out the less obvious ones. So, low sleep quality and duration can increase your risk for heart disease. There were 19 studies that found that sleeping fewer than 7 hours a day resulted in a 13% increase in death from heart disease. Sleep deprivation can decrease insulin sensitivity, it can increase inflammation, and it can also increase your hunger hormones. And depression is also strongly linked to poor sleep quality and sleeping disorders. So, these are a lot of things that can be easily prevented if we prioritize getting the right amount of sleep each night. And I know that can be a struggle at first, especially if you're starting out with 6 hours, 5 or 6 hours a night, and you're wanting to try and get up to that 7 or 9 hours. What you can do is you can start slowly and you can try and go to bed 15 minutes earlier each night and do that for a week, and then try another 15 minutes earlier going to bed, and slowly pushing that back, and that can slowly help you get to getting some more sleep in. But there's a professor from Stanford University, his name's Dr. Huberman, and he actually kind of put together a sleep toolkit of a few tips of how can you optimize and improve your quality of sleep. So a few things that he talked about was waking up at the same time each day and going to sleep when you first start to feel sleepy. And it's kind of like what we talked about earlier, was that pushing through the sleepy late evening feeling that you get and going to sleep too late is one reason that people wake up in the middle of the night and they feel like they can't go back to sleep. I don't know if any of you have felt that way, but it's kind of like this weird insomnia thing. And so basically pushing our bodies too far, our bodies are the greatest instrument and greatest tool. They will communicate to you and tell you exactly what they need when you need it. You just gotta listen, and it'll know what's best for you. Another thing he noted was to avoid caffeine within 8 to 10 hours of bedtime. Having too much caffeine before then, it can lead on over and it can keep you awake longer and later at night. He's also talked about avoiding bright lights, especially bright overhead lights between the hours of 10 p.m. and 4 p.m. He said, here's a simple rule: only use as much artificial lighting as is necessary for you to remain and move about safely at night. Viewing bright nights of all colors are a problem for your circadian rhythm. Next, we have limiting daytime naps to less than 90 minutes. We actually touched on this a bit in our sleep podcast. I don't know how many of you listen to that, but having, about 30-minute naps a day, they're actually a great part of having adequate sleep hygiene. Getting a little power nap within the day can be really beneficial, and I think it's just when they get too long and you get into that circadian rhythm, that REM sleep, is when it can kind of throw you off a bit. And then keeping the room that you sleep in cool and dark, and then maybe adding some layers of blankets on top that you can remove throughout the night. Your body actually needs to drop in temperature by 1 to 3 degrees to fall asleep and to stay asleep effectively. And as your body increases, the body temperature increases, that's what causes some of that late night waking. So to keep your room cool, you can just take off the blankets as you get hotter and warm up, and it can help you sleep better throughout the night, have a greater quality of sleep. And ultimately, the bottom line is the number of hours we sleep and receive each night should be a huge priority when focusing on and improving our health.
Thank you,
And
Brooke.
yeah.
Okay, now let's talk about the hours of movement and how this number is beneficial to our overall well-being. So, another indicator of your optimal health is the amount of time we spend moving. So, adults need a minimum of 150 minutes of moderate physical activity and 2 days of some sort of muscle strengthening activity per week to promote physical and mental health. So many studies have discovered that physical activity is actually a better indicator of health than BMI, than weight, than size, or any other outer measurement, meaning an overweight person who is physically active is healthier than a thin, sedentary person. Many of us know the basic benefits of getting active, so I thought I would just share some surprising or unique benefits to moving. So movement helps maintain existing brain structures and it actually slows the aging-related mental decline. We have seen with senior citizens who move that the rates of Alzheimer's and dementia is very low in people who are very active throughout their life. Of course, we know that movement can reduce our stress and it can also increase our ability to learn and retain information. So no matter where you're starting, the more you move, the better your body will function. And again, it can be very tempting to use the scale as an indicator of improvement in physical activity, but again, the scale is not telling us very much. It's not telling us how much muscle we are putting on. It's not telling us if we're making any sort of improvement in our blood pressure, if it's improving our sleep, right? Those are things that you need to be focusing on. So shift your mindset or focus to improving the amount of reps you can do before getting winded, or perhaps the miles you can walk or bike without breaking a sweat, or like March into May, counting your step improvement and compete against yourself and see how quickly you can improve your physical being or your physical activity by that rather than, did I meet my goals of physical activity by stepping on the scale? It kind of doesn't make very much sense. So changing your mindset of how you feel and what your body can do will get you much farther in improving your physical activity than focusing on just reducing weight. Now let's talk about water since this would need to come as we start to increase how much we're moving.
Yes. So, did you guys know that 70% of our body is made up of water? And so that's a lot. But because of that, it's essential to keep our body functioning properly. We need water to survive. I think we all know that. All of our body's major systems depend on water to function properly, and staying hydrated, it helps to regulate our body's temperature, it lubricates the joints, it lessens your burden on kidneys and liver by flushing waste products, and it hydrates the skin, it boosts energy by delivering nutrients to muscles. So it's important, and there's so many amazing benefits to staying hydrated, but it's not always easy to do. I mean, our lives get busy, you forget about drinking the water, um, we lose water a lot throughout the day by breathing, perspirating, urinating, bowel movements. And so that's why it's just so important that we replenish the amount of water that we drink. So for women, it's recommended that you consume 11.5 cups or 92 ounces of water each day. And for men, we recommend 15.5 cups or 124 ounces each day. So I'd love if you guys in the chat could share what are some ways that you found have helped you stay hydrated? What are some things that you do to up that water intake? Laura, have a bottle next to me, hauling around a water bottle with you, having it at your desk. Diana says she tracks hers. Patty says she drinks a full glass with her medication. Carrie has a one called a tiny barrel. It's a 50-ounce insulated mug. That's cool. Sounds fancy. We've got eating water-dense foods like fresh fruits. Corey she has 2 full water bottles at her desk. These are all great. You set reminders. Angie shared a link to a fun water bottle it looks like she uses. These are all great, and you've hit the nail on the head. You've Um, Having fun water bottles, that's definitely a great way. Another way to help increase your water intake is to flavor your water with fresh fruits like berries, citruses, herbs like mint and rosemary. My favorite combination right now is I'll do a little bit of strawberries and lime and rosemary, and it's been so fun for me to find different ways to flavor my water, and it gets me excited to drink it. So I challenge you guys to try flavoring your water with some fun fruits. There's water dense foods that you guys had mentioned. There's fruits like melons, pineapple, strawberries, peaches, and vegetables like cucumbers and zucchini, spinach and other leafy greens, and tomatoes. They're all very water rich, and they also contain a handful of vitamins and minerals. So you kill two birds with one stone right there. Um, we I saw someone had mentioned setting a reminder. You could set a phone reminder every half an hour or an hour to drink so many ounces of water. You can also, make a game out of it. Say, every time I send off an email, I'm going to drink an ounce of water. And I know we all are sending a lot of emails every day. So that could be something, but just find ways to make drinking water fun.
All right, thank you. Okay, so for our last health measure that is important is one that is important to you. We call these non-scale victories, and they are health improvements that result from behavior changes, not weight change. They often go unnoticed, and most of the time because we are focused on the number on the scale, but a non-scale victory could be any of these examples I have here. We have now I'm stronger, I have more energy, I have, let's say this person had zero back pain. Some victories we have, I walk 5 miles every day, or now I feel less anxious, I'm sleeping better, I'm happier. The things that you mentioned with the definitions of health before. I would love if you could share in the chat box some non-scale victories that you have achieved. Can run the bases without wanting to die in the softball. Yeah.
Awesome.
Tell me you're just happier when I'm eating healthful foods. My knees don't hurt anymore. The jeans fit better than they used to. Yeah, you're feeling more comfortable in your clothes. Seatbelts fit at the airplane, being able to go up 2 flights of stairs. Yes, exactly. Don't get out of breath as much. Can walk farther without much effort. Exactly. Exactly. You guys are just doing so fabulous with these. And when it comes to non-scale victories, you can decide if you want them to be physical, mental, spiritual, intellectual, whatever it may be with the dimensions of wellness. You may have noticed today the numbers that we have provided for you are physical health, right? Blood pressure, cholesterol, sleep, um, ounces of water, all of these, and movement as well. These are the numbers that matter more than weight when it comes to physical health. But to remember throughout this series, we're also going to be talking about how diet culture um, and the media has impacted our mental health as well. Today was focused on physical, but we will get into the things that we can do for our well-being that hit all the dimensions, not just physical. But we just wanted to talk about numbers that are physical that you can measure, right? You can measure your blood pressure. You can have your cholesterol measured. You can track how many ounces of water you're getting or how often you're sleeping. So when it comes to um, having a new health journey or creating new goals, to look beyond weight loss and look at maybe one of these areas where you're struggling, right? There are lots of ways to lose weight that are also unhealthy. And so we don't want to just promote getting that number lower because it doesn't necessarily always mean it's healthy. But drinking more water, getting a healthy blood pressure, moving our bodies more, these are all things that can improve our well-being. So, again, our series is going to be talking about changing the dialogue around health to improve areas of your life that make you feel empowered and make you feel like you want to engage in healthy behaviors. The pictures I showed at the beginning that were restrictive, and there was all those people running, and right, we had the before and after photos. We don't want that to be what you think of when you think about getting healthy. It's the other ones that we showed you with people laughing, spending time together, moving their bodies, engaging in meditation, or whatever it may be. Those are what we want everyone to achieve. And that's what we're going to be talking about when it comes to beyond weight loss, because we want people to eat nutritious foods because they enjoy them. We want people to move their body because we're happy to be alive and to be in a body. We want you to be able to find time for stress management because we're living in a very stressful world. And again, you don't necessarily need to lose weight to become healthier, but engaging in these other activities will make you healthier. So when it comes to wellness, it's not what we have to lose, but it's everything we have to gain. So in the next several weeks, we'll talk about media literacy. We're going to talk about diet culture, weight loss myths, and then we'll end the series again with making how to make healthy, sustainable changes for our well-being. So when healthy habits become your lifestyle, the number on the scale can go back to being exactly what it is. It's just one metric about your body. It's just some crazy number that does not define your health or who you are. So that's what this series is all about. But we want to leave this last time we have left to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah. And just going off of what Sadie said, we are all so passionate about this topic, and this whole series has really been a passion project of ours, and we just want everyone to walk away feeling empowered with the knowledge that they need to combat this crazy diet culture world that we live in. We want you to be able to see through all the smoke and mirrors that they've got going on, and to be able to feel confident going out. And with the knowledge to fight it all off.
Pamela says that you can check out blood pressure cuffs from the library. Do you need a library card for this, Pamela?
Yes, you do. But if you're a county employee, even if you don't live in the county, you can get a free library card. Just go on in.
Awesome. Good to know.
I think if you chose reducing your blood pressure, it might be a really good idea to check one out and keep it for a couple of weeks so that you can understand how you're managing.
Exactly. With blood pressure, we want to see consistency.
Mhm.
So the best way to monitor it is to check in the morning after you actually have used the restroom. Having to go to the bathroom increases our blood pressure. And then doing it at night after you've maybe calmed down for 30 minutes to get the most accurate reading. And if you do that for 2 weeks and you can start to see an average, that's what your blood pressure typically is. When we go to a biometric screening, you go to the doctor, it's a snapshot, but the best thing you can do is to see what you are consistently at. So thank you for bringing that up, Pamela.
Welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Kind of weird to have some health educators telling you not to lose weight, right? Okay, well then we will share the link to sign in the chat box one final time, and we'll stay on if anyone has questions. But other than that, you have a great rest of your Wednesday and happy March into May.
Thank you.